Troll 2 is a supposed sequel to Troll, a 1986 film made by puppet enthusiast Charles Band. However, this really isn't a sequel. It's just to bait people into thinking it's a sequel. See, the original creators, Claudio Francesco, sorry if I butchered that name, who also directed the movie with Rosella Giurdi. Sorry, like they're Italian, so sorry if I butchered their names again. Uh, it was supposed to be named Goblins, but then the two Italian filmmakers uh, believed that that wouldn't really take off, so they disguised it as a sequel to Troll. The budget was about 90 to 100 mil, but it made exactly 47.9 mil from the box office, which is really sad numbers if you think about it. Um, the story is this family is switching homes with another family who is disguised as goblins. Yes, goblins, not trolls, which, like I said, the movie title is misinforms you about. Um, one of the children throws a ball and it says, "Eat before we eat you," which is talking about the goblins, and which later on we learn that the grandfather tells the kid about who is who the grandfather is supposedly dead, by the way, but comes out back as this like powerful fucking ghost for some reason. Um, and he warn the grandfather uh warn comes in and out warning Joshua the child about the goblins and going to the city called uh get ready for this. Hold on. Sorry, I had to do something. Um, Nilbog, which is you'll see later. Joshua says it's goblins spelled backwards, which of course, this town, mysterious town, is where all the goblins take place. In a place called Nilbog, which is goblins spelled backwards. I mean, how obvious do you have to be? But anyway, they go into the house. That there's food sprayed out, and so this food is uh, made with this magical stuff that turns the people that eat it into plants. That way, the goblins eat them. And yes, these are vegetarian goblins, not meat eating goblins, by the way. There's lots of. I think there's this vegetarian type, you know, lesson that is trying to make into this weird fantasy movie about these people going into a movie that's not even a sequel, but it's baiting people into going into paying for this fucking movie. So anyway, so your lesson is really not that good. Um, Anyway, so Joshua hears a rap on the door, on the window, goes to the window. His grandfather's there, and he's like, they can't eat the food, or it'll be bad for them. So then, as I said, he's a ghost with like weird fucking powers. So the grandfather like stops time, and and he's like, you have seconds to like do whatever to stop these, to stop your family from eating this stuff, and being turned into whatever. You don't know that they're going to be eaten or turned into plants yet. But anyway, so anyway, the time stopped, and so Josh was wondering what to do, so he decides to just fucking pee on the food, and cuts to the mom and the sister. There's mom and sister, and Joshua and the father. The mom and the sister throwing the food away, and the father is taking Joshua to his room, and makes like the greatest fucking speech, in this fucking movie. It's like, you see that, and he shows the names on the doors of the people that live there. You see that, you don't piss on hospitality, and uh, so yeah, it's great. And he goes on a rant about how he wants Joshua wants them to like be on a fast or something. And he's like, well, I can do that. And he just like tightens his fucking belt. Like the acting here is just amazing. There's a B plot where the sister's boyfriend, which by the way, the sister is played by Connie Young, and Josh was played by Michael Stephenson. Um, and so anyway, there's this plot where her boyfriend and his two friends follow them to Nilbog. Uh, and there's this whole plot where the girlfriend's like, you have to choose me over them. It's either me or them. And like every time, it's like him and his friends, he chooses his friends. Anyway, so they go to Nilbog finally after like getting dumped on the side of the road because something's wrong with their vehicle. And it's funny because like they're so far away, and this is before the family goes to Nilbog. The car that the family drives in like goes past the boyfriend and his friends, and it's so far away. It's like, and like the sister flips the brother off, and like the shots don't even fucking match. It's like, how the fuck did that happen? You'll have to see it to believe it, guys. It's great. Um, anyway, so the boyfriend and his friends go to Nilbog, and they're like bored out of their fucking mind. Uh, they're sitting there like watching TV. Arnold is like bitching about finding hot girls because like the boyfriend of the sister was like, well, there's gonna be girls there, hot girls, and then come to find out there's none. So, um, anyway, Arnold goes outside and finds this girl running away from I almost said trolls, goblins. And so he rescues her, and they go into this abandoned building where they meet Credence, who is this over the top fucking villainess. It's amazing. Um, Introduces herself, and it's like great. Like I said, the acting here is just phenomenal. Um, he gives the girl soup, and the girl immediately like gags and like has this. The transformation from her to being a plant is just amazing. I would say the special effects in this is probably the best part of this fucking movie. But anyway, um, so she goes up the stairs, and she like falls down, and like all these fucking goblins come out and like wait, and they like eat her. Like she turns into this fucking plant, and she they like she gets eaten, and like the best fucking line in this fucking movie. You probably guys probably know it. It's been in like memes for like ever. Almost everyone knows this fucking movie. It's the they're eating her. They're eating her, but and then they're eating her, and they're gonna eat me. Oh my god! And then it's like, oh my god! And then you know, there's the fly that lands on the actor who plays Arnold, who is let me see, Darren Ewing, who hey Birdie Gamer, who I would say is a marvelous actor because he like has this fly on him, and he still delivers the line like word for word. It's great. Anyway, so we cut back to the family. Don't worry, Arnold. We'll go back to Arnold. So the father and the Joshua goes out to town, which by the way, he keeps telling the family that uh something's wrong with these people, something's wrong with um the villagers and whatnot, and like in beautiful movie fashion, of course. In horror movie fashion, nobody fucking believes them. Uh, it's that old horror cliche. Um, so anyway, they go to this town where they try and get some food, but like the store's closed or something, and then the father falls asleep, and Joshua goes to this church where all these people just got. So the people, so the trolls are disguised as people, as I said before. Um, and what they want to do is control the world, kind of like what Troll, the first one, did, but it only had like one troll, uh, who was turning people into like animals and fancy animals and other trolls and whatnot. Uh, watch the first one because the first one's great, but the second one I would say is way better. It's not even a fucking sequel, like I said. But anyway, he goes to the church. Uh, he goes up to the top of uh, the roof, and he talks about and has this mock sermon going on about how trolls hate meat, and because they're vegetarians. Like I said, there's this weird vegetarian um, lesson that's trying to be taught, and it's not that subtle to begin with. Um, but like I said, it just failed so miserably. Anyway, so there's a random fucking skateboard up on the fucking top, and like Joshua pushes it off, and of course, he gets caught. So the dad's like wakes up and wonders where his son's at. Great dad, by the way. Falling asleep in a fucking town infested with goblins. Um, hears he hears some noises coming from the church, and he goes there and he sees everybody grouped around, uh, trying to feed Joshua some ice cream, which is like just this like melted light green shit. Uh, Trying to turn him into a plant so they could eat him. Uh, Father's like, "What's going on?" And the trolls are like, "We're going to we were we were feeding him ice cream," and like the father's like, "Well, okay, because every fucking horror character, every fucking character in a horror movie has to be stupid except for one person who knows what's going on." And like I said, no one fucking believes him. Anyway, so anyway, um, then he like talk. He's like, he runs into the family that they were house switching with, and he was like, "What are you guys doing here?" And the family's like, "Our crow broke down," and like the father was like, "Oh, okay," like not asking questions or anything. He's just like leaves him, like, "Okay, so you have car trouble. Okay, cool." Um, it's just hilarious. Um, anyway, the other friend goes to go back to the B plot. The other friend tries to find Arnold and runs in this fucking store, and he talks about uh he asks if the store clerk if there's anything to eat, like bacon, eggs, whatever. And the store clerk's ew and makes uh faces and whatnot. Vegetarian uh don't like meat. So like I said, they're just hammering in that fucking vegetarian plot, you know, and it's so obvious. Anyway, he's like, "Hey," the clerk's like, gives him this milk, and he's like, "Here, have some Neobog milk." Uh, so the guy takes it, and he goes to find Arnold, and so he drinks the milk, and it's fucking sour. And there's a plot in the beginning where the family goes to the house that they were in, and they ask, and it's like before this whole shit happens, but after like the day after Joshua like pees on the food and shit, and they're like looking for shit to eat, and there's like milk, but it's spoiled. So uh, it already happened once, so it's gonna happen again. Anyway, so um, the friend goes to Credence Credence's place. Her, you'll figure it out later. I don't want to spoil anything for right now, but turns out Arnold was turned into a living tree. So try, so the last friend tries to get Arnold out of there, but fails, and Credence like knocks him out, and in a weird like sexual type shit, I don't know, like trims Arnold's like trunk, and like it, the camera pans up and it shows Arnold like loving this shit, like turns him on or something. It's weird, but not as weird as what's going to happen. Uh, Next. So anyway, so the friend gets knocked out, and then and then the next scene is him in Clint in Clint. Hold on, sorry. Uh, Clarence's bed, and she's making him a smoothie with that green liquid that turns people into plants. So we don't see him again, so I'm guessing he's dead. So or Arnold, so he's still a tree. Um, the father and Joshua comes back home, and turns out all the townspeople are making a feast for everyone to be like, hey, sorry about forcing your child to eat ice cream, and uh, us being weird and shit. And so the father's like, well, it's okay. So um, once again, the family's about to eat, and the grandfather shows up, and well, actually, Joshua wrestles with like one of the goblins, and goes outside and meets the grandfather, where he's like, uh, torch the place, and he gives her uh, a Molotov cocktail, and so one of the preacher that is a goblin comes out and tries to banish, like takes the Molotov cocktail and tries to banish the uh, grandfather back to hell. Uh, which, by the way, didn't know good people go to hell. Thought it was the bad people, but whatever. It's just like this movie's like riddled with weird plot points. Anyway, um, then the grandfather like summons fucking lightning, which, by the way, he can. So the grandfather can go into a room, any room, and talk to the kids via floating head. Can become invisible. By the way, the talking comes in later when he goes into the uh, his niece's room instead of Joshua's, and scares the shit out of her. Can turn invisible, stop time, and now some lightning. So, like I said, a ghost with like weird fucking ass powers. Anyway, the lightning hits the Molotov and scorches like the preacher to fucking death, and everyone's like, "What? What happened?" And the family's like, "What happened?" And they find out that finally Josh was not fucking crazy, and sees the burnt remains of a goblin. And then the one of the goblins is like, "You killed him, and now we're gonna kill you, or whatever." And then they just like stare at them as they slowly walk into the house, not doing anything to them until like later on, where like it's night and they come in with like one of them comes in with a fucking gun. And he's like, "Show them that. Let's show them that they're not that we didn't leave, that we're still out there," and like shoots the fucking gun. It's like, uh, of course, they're gonna see that you're still out there. But anyway, like I said, stupid. This movie is fucking stupid, but amazing. Anyway, um, so Credence comes and like apparently she's the not apparently but surprisingly she is the Goblin Queen, and she's using um one of the Stonehenge stones to summon uh goblins to Nilbog to the world. So there's this fight with Credence, and then she loses an arm, and she like goes back into uh into her place, and she goes into the opening of one of the Stonehenge's stones, and sticks her hand in it, and like it heals her completely. Um, so Joshua goes to Credence's place finally, and tries to like close up the gap between Stonehenge and stones, and there's like loads of goblins trying to get him, and then he like randomly pulls out a triple decker bologna sandwich and like eats it, and the goblin's like ew, and then the family finally comes, and like together they just like push the stone hinges back apart and closing the gap, and very happy ending. Turns out it wasn't, because the next day I would say Joshua comes out of his room and sees the basketball or softball um, right at his feet, right at his door. Surprise! The There is no happy ending. He goes down looking for his mom and sees bunch of a bunch of goblins eating uh, the remains of his mom, which is now plant, basically plant. And like one of them looks up and says, "Hey, you want to taste Joshua?" And then the movie ends, and that's it. You guys should watch it for yourselves, though. But yeah, it's like the ending is just like so fucking dark and great. Um, Lots of people hate the ending, but it is what it is. So I forgot to mention there's this actual sex scene. I would say quote unquote sex scene between Credence and the boyfriend. So Credence like de-ages herself and becomes like this beautiful young woman. Finds out where the fucking trailer park where the boyfriend is. Goes in and fucking makes out with him while they both eat fucking corn, and like there's like I love boyfriend's like I love corn, and then like the while they're eating it together, like close up face to face, like it turns into popcorn, and like there's popcorn all over the place, and then all you see from the boyfriend is like he wakes up and he's like he has like popcorn everywhere, like in his nose, ears, and whatnot. He's like, no more popcorn. He's the only one that survives. His other friends are like dead or turned into trees, but he survived somehow, and he helps the family close the gap, and you know, not really save the world, but you know, actually pretty much delays it. So yeah, that's Troll 2. Uh, like I said, watch it for yourself. It's a great movie. Great special effects, great acting. When I say great acting, I mean bad acting. It's just so bad it's good. It's one of those movies that's so bad it's good. It's infamous. But yeah, I didn't want to like do a play-by-play because like everyone, almost everyone and their mom has reviewed this fucking movie. So anyway, this is Bob Harness going. Uh, so see you guys later. Be good. Oh, and sorry for the delay, multiple delays of this. I have a life. Uh, I have a life outside of. I have a life outside of YouTube. Sorry for the cars, but I have a life outside of YouTube, unlike some people out there. Surprisingly. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. And this is Pop Cronus again. Be good to people, and be good to yourself. See you guys later.